Hello all, thanks for joining this webinar. Let's kick off. Today we will show you or introduce the Plauti SDK. So we will start with introductions. So I'll introduce a team member, myself, and our special guest. It's one of our customers who will tell more about what we did for them. Then we will look into what the Plauti SDK can do. Then we will do a deep dive customer case with Anna, that's our customer. And then we will do a deep dive into the merge plugin from the SDK. After that, we will do a Q&A. All right. So I'll start with the introduction of myself. I'm Bram. I'm the head of customer success here within Plauti. Today, Ruben, our product manager, will do the deep dive into the SDK itself. And we've invited Anna, who is the global CRM manager at Roche Diabetes Care. And with her, I'll do an interview about all the customizations that we did with the SDK. All right, a little general information about Plauti. Plauti was founded in 2011. We've got 2 offices. Our headquarters is located in Arnhem in the Netherlands. And we also have an office in the beautiful Lisbon, Portugal. We currently have over 2,000 customers worldwide, and those are from all kinds of industries, so non-profits and SaaS and everything in between. All our solutions are 100% native in Salesforce, CRM, and Microsoft Dynamics. So very important, no data leaves your organization, so you can do all the data management on platform. Very important if compliance is a big thing within your organization, of course. So we've got 4 core products, which is Plauti Verify, Deduplicate, Manipulate, and Assign. And that forms our core products. And then we have those 4 core products are part of our Plauti data management suite. All right, now up to Ruben to give you a look into our Plauti SDK.
Yeah, thank you, Bram, for the introduction. And hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. It's always good to see so many familiar names in the attendee list. And today I'm excited to kick off the session as we take a closer look into the Plauti SDK. And whether you're new to Plauti or already familiar with our products, this is your chance to see how the SDK opens up new ways to extend, control, and customize your data quality solution. So let's dive together into what makes the SDK such a valuable toolkit. And let me first tell you about the value that implementing the Plauti SDK can bring to your business. There are 5 value pillars around the Plauti SDK that guide why it exists and how it can make a difference. So the first pillar is extendability. We know Plauti comes with a robust set of features out of the box, but no 2 businesses are exactly alike. The SDK gives you the power to customize Plauti to your exact needs. You can add your own special rules, for example, custom matching logic or unique workflows, making sure Plauti truly fits your business and not how some product manager assumed your business operates. Second, we have efficiency. So building data quality solutions from scratch take a lot of time and resources. We spent around 10 years building our products. And with the SDK, a lot of the hard work is already done for you. So whether you need an interface for Apex, REST, a command line, or the plugins, the SDK has this set ready for you. This means projects move faster and costs go down, and your team can focus on business value. The third pillar is control. So sometimes the order in which things happen make a big difference. For example, do you need validation before records are merged, or maybe you want to run a deduplication after a certain process in your Salesforce environment finishes? Now with the Plauti SDK, you can control exactly when and how Plauti steps in. You decide the order of execution, making it easy to fit into your existing Salesforce automations or custom flows. And then for consistency, data quality isn't a sometimes thing. It has to be reliable everywhere. The SDK lets you apply Plauti's logic not just in Salesforce, but in any app, outside system or automation that you have. No matter where those records are coming from, they're checked with the same trusted rules. And this enforces data quality standards throughout your entire business and not just here and there. And finally, we have flexibility. The SDK gives you multiple ways to work with Plauti. We got Apex for in-org development, REST API for integrations, CLI for automation, and a plugin system for deep customizations. And that way, you're not locked into a single way of doing things. You are flexible to adapt. So to sum up, the Plauti SDK empowers you to go beyond what's possible with just the out-of-the-box products that we have. It helps you to save development time, gives you full control over your business processes, and ensures consistent data quality everywhere. All right. In other words, it lets you, is it showing the right slide? No, it isn't. There was supposed to appear an image here of a Lego car, which is for some reason not showing, which is silly because I spent a lot of time on it, but hey, what can we do? Basically, there was an image on the left side of a basic Lego car, and on the right side was a very extensive Lego car. It was a metaphor for the Plauti SDK. So you can build your own custom creation, for example, adding rocket engines, monster wheels to a Lego car, basically adapting to your specific business requirement. And just a quick warning, I'm afraid this isn't the only time I will use a Lego as a metaphor. I'll just send over that slide to everyone in the email because it was so good. So let's take a look at what the SDK actually consists of. There are 4 main building blocks that make up the SDK itself. And each one is in a different way you can interact with Plauti to bring data quality into your Salesforce environment. First, we have the Apex API, and this is your toolkit for embedding Plauti functionality directly into Salesforce code or automations. And if you want to run deduplication or validation logging in triggers, flows, or any custom logic that you might have, this is the engine under the hood which you can make use of. Then there is the REST API. This lets you access Plauti's capabilities from anywhere, so not just inside Salesforce. So whether you're integrating with external system, web applications, or just want to connect Plauti to other platforms, the REST API is your go-to interface. Then we have the Apex plugins, and plugins are all about customization and deep extension. They allow you to hook into your own business logic and custom rules, so you can tailor Plauti's processing to fit your unique requirements. And later on in the webinar, we'll dive a bit deeper into one of the plugins that we have available. Then there's the Plauti CLI, which enables Salesforce users to manage the duplication processes by exporting and importing full Plauti deduplicate configurations. But we can also initiate deduplication jobs from CSV files of known duplicate record pairs. And it has tools to manage Plauti licenses across different Salesforce organizations. So let's dive a bit deeper in the Apex API capabilities. And also this slide is not showing, which is weird. It's always like this, that in your test rounds, everything works as expected, and now it doesn't. But this is pretty annoying. So let's see if I can share my screen in a different way so that we can still see this slide. While we're at it, I can also show you a beautiful slide with the Lego cars. So I'm improvising right now, switching screens, and then I'll simply share my screen. Does that work? Yes, it works. So this was
Yes.
that amazing slide of the Lego cars. It would be a shame not to show that. So this works. I'm now sharing directly the PowerPoint presentation instead of the uploaded version in Microsoft Teams. So we wanted to take a deeper dive in the Apex API capabilities. And this was the slide that was supposed to show. So let's start with the method for searching for duplicates. It's on the top left. The search by ID method in the Apex API lets you detect duplicates for any Salesforce record by comparing it against others using your active Plauti deduplicate scenarios. When you pass in a record ID, it returns structured match groups with detailed results, such as record IDs, match scores, and the scenario that triggered the match. These results can be used immediately in code. So for example, you might present duplicate matches to a user in a custom Lightning component, flag them for review in a trigger, or feed them into a merge routine. Now, once you've found these duplicates, you can also merge them using the Apex API. You can provide either a list of full records or just a list of their IDs. And you can even preview which one would become the master before doing the merge. The API applies your configured merge rules, so things like field priorities and preferences are respected. And this gives you the flexibility to embed merging into automated flows, or even let users kick off merges themselves from a custom interface, all from Apex code. Now we also have a method available to initiate a duplicate deduplication job. It's a difficult word to pronounce, because in some cases you want to clean up a whole set of records and not just one at a time. And with the Apex API start deduplication jobs, you can start a complete deduplication job in bulk from code as well. Then we have a custom scoring and matching method, because sometimes you want to control over how records are compared. And with the Apex API, you can calculate a similarity score between any two records. You decide which matching scenario to use, so the logic can be as strict or as flexible as you want. You can decide the fields that are compared. And this is a great way for building, for example, approval flows, where you only want to merge if the score is high enough, or for building custom review queues, where users decide what to do next based on how strong a certain match is. Part of the Apex API, we have Plauti verified tools available. This lets you validate and clean addresses, email addresses, and phone data. For example, you can check if an email is valid and deliverable, or if a phone number exists and is formatted correctly, or if an address can be found in official postal databases, all right from Apex code. And you can use this validation, for example, in form submissions, record updates, or during integrations to make sure that data entering your system is clean and trustworthy. And you can even save those results directly to the records for audit or reporting purposes. So in the end, everything that you see here can be automated, and the API can be used inside flows, triggers, scheduled jobs, background processes, you name it. Then we have the Apex plugins. So if you are looking to take full control of how Plauti deduplicate behaves at different points in the process, this is where Apex plugins come in. They let you inject your own logic directly into the deduplication pipeline before, during, or after the matching, merging, converting, or even record routing using Plauti Assign. What makes this powerful is that it allows you to make Plauti respond to your business and not the other way around. And in the next slide, we'll walk through each plugin type that we have available in the SDK. So on the top left, we have the search plugin. And this plugin runs right after Plauti finishes a duplicate search and gives you access to the match results and the full context of them. One of the use cases is modifying those search results based on your own custom logic. For example, you might remove certain matches that should not be considered for duplicates, like excluding records marked as archived in your system. So this lets you clean up the results before users ever see them, so the duplicate list stays relevant and aligned with your business rules. Then in the top middle, we find the prevention plugin. And this plugin runs during real-time duplicate checks right when a record is being created or updated. It lets you override the standard allow or block behavior based on your own business logic. And a great example is, for example, handling ownership of duplicates. So if a duplicate is found during insert, you can reassign the new record to a specific queue instead of the default owner, which would have gotten the record in the first place. So this way, duplicates just don't sneak into the system. They land exactly where you want them to land for resolving them. Then the yellow Lego block is the merge plugin. And this plugin gives you deep control over the entire merge process with 5 available hooks. Before the merge starts, after it finishes, if it fails, and 2 special ones, one to set the field values during the merge, and one to define which record should become the master. One implementation example is using a no process flag. If that flag is present in your plugin, you can cancel the merge entirely and trigger an alternative process, like linking the records through a parent-child relationship. And later in this webinar, we'll dive a bit deeper into capabilities that this plugin framework specifically around merging records provides. Then on the bottom left, we have a convert plugin, which allows you to step into the lead conversion process. You can act before, after, or during an error. And a practical use case is logging each conversion by updating the context description field, for example, with the ID of the original lead. This way you can keep track of all leads that were converted into a specific contact over time, like a log. And another example is to send a notification to keep a contact owner informed right after a lead is successfully converted into their existing contact, so they are kept up to date about activity around the contact that they manage. Then there's a direct processing plugin. This plugin is designed to step in the direct processing feature, which most of you are probably familiar with, which is for automatically merging or converting incoming records without end user involvement. This gives you a hook before that action happens. So you can evaluate the records and decide, should we proceed with direct processing, should we skip, or should we route this insert for manual review? So let's say you only want to do automatic processing if the lead source is web, and the number of prior activities is below a certain threshold that you set, then with this plugin, you can check those conditions. And if they don't meet your criteria, simply block the automatic processing for that record. So it's a nice way to keep automation efficient while protecting sensitive or high value records that need human eyes and human involvement. Now we have an after index search on the bottom right plugin that runs after Plauti gathers the list of potential duplicates, but before it calculates a matching score. And this gives you the opportunity to fine-tune that candidate list that goes to scoring. We can either remove records that should not be compared, or we can add records that normally wouldn't show up. So imagine you're working with contact records and you want to ensure that any record tied to an active sales opportunity is always considered in duplicate checks, even if it's slightly outside of the scope of what the out-of-the-box search index will return. You can simply inject IDs via the plugin to check in addition of what is returned by the search index search based on your own criteria. So it's really a plugin to in-depth fine-tune candidates for duplicates in the duplication pipeline. Then there's a plugin which is not related to Plauti Deduplicate. It's a plugin that works with Plauti Assign, which is Plauti's record assignment engine. So normally assignments are handled using standard filters, things like region, record type, or owners. But if your logic goes beyond what filters can do, that's where the plugin comes in. And with this plugin, you can write custom Apex code to define exactly how records should be routed. So for example, instead of a simple filter, you might want to apply a decision tree. So route based on a combination of fields values from industry, and a certain interest in the product, a lead score, but also take into account the workload of the team, and make decisions based on a combination of factors instead of the simple filter capabilities that come with Plauti Assign out of the box and all from code. So in a nutshell, Apex gives you control to inject your custom logic into key moments of Plauti's processing, giving you that control to adapt Plauti behavior to your exact business rules. And I can understand that this is a lot of information. So if you're interested in one of these capabilities that we talked about regarding the plugins or the Apex API, just visit our knowledge base around the SDK, which is located at sdk.plauti.com, where we have written a lot of articles about all these methods with some examples in code and some examples of what you can do with these plugins. Then there is the REST API. So Plauti's REST API is ideal when you're working outside of Salesforce or if you're integrating data from other systems. It gives you powerful access to Plauti's core capabilities like duplicate detection, validation, but we also have smart upsert logic directly over the HTTPS. So whether you're building an external lead capture form, running data through a middleware tool, or integrating with marketing platforms, you can simply tap into the same intelligence that power the Plauti tools inside Salesforce, but now outside of Salesforce. So let's see what the REST API has in store for us. So again, we're starting on the top left. So the REST API search endpoints lets you check for duplicates by sending field values like a name, email, or phone, and you'll get back possible matches from inside Salesforce. It returns match scores and detailed record data, just like how Plauti Deduplicate would in the user interface on platform. And you can use this when you're capturing data outside Salesforce and want to know, is this person already in the system? For example, if someone registers through your partner portal, which you might have on your website, you can run a check via the REST API before creating a new record, avoiding duplicates right at the source. So the REST API also has a capability to do upsearch. So you send in a record and Plauti checks for duplicates first. And if it finds one, we will update it, so not merge it. And if it doesn't find one, it creates a new record. This capability is also able to handle related records, like adding a campaign member when inserting a new lead, and it respects Salesforce relationship and reference fields as well. And a great use case here is importing a batch of leads from a trade show, for example, where each contact is checked, cleaned, and placed into the right campaign, all in a single transaction. Then for Plauti Verify, our tool to validate email addresses and phone numbers, you can call REST endpoints as well. You can send any address through the API and it will validate and standardize it using trusted reference data from local postal authorities. And the result tells you whether the address is mailable. Maybe there are corrections that we recommend to do to the address. And we can autocomplete address as well, but then from a REST API context. This can also be done for emails. So you send in an email and get back whether it's real, deliverable, maybe it's a disposable email. And the system can detect if it's from a free provider. We also detect role-based addresses, temporary addresses. And this REST API capability is perfect for sign-up forms on your website, where you can refuse an email that will bounce, for example, because you will know at the source, you know at that point. And there are many other places where it's really valued to implement email validation. So finally, the REST API also supports phone number validation, and it can confirm whether it's a real number, what type of number it is, a mobile number, a landline number, for example, and it formats it correctly for your country as well, the country that is given. And the nice thing is when you use the Plauti Verify tool in Salesforce, maybe via the out-of-the-box tool, maybe via the Apex API, but also via the REST API, you can enforce a certain standardization of all your values that come in from anywhere and have standardized and valid values across the entire system that you have. All right, so that is a quick look into the capabilities of the SDK. We're now moving back to Bram for the next part of this webinar. And after that, we'll do a short deep dive into the merge plugins, which we have available. And with the merge plugin, we can do some exciting things. So Bram, back to you.
Thank you, Ruben. Hopefully the slides will load this time again. Yes, there we go. All right. So we invited one of our customers, Anna. She's from Roche Diabetes Care. Anna, are you on call?
Yes, here I am. Hi, Bram. Hi, everyone.
Hey there, Anna. Hey, thanks for joining, Anna. Can you tell us a little bit more about the company that you work at, what you do, and what your current role is within that company?
Yeah, sure. I am Ana Márquez Salazar. I work in Roche Diagnostics, actually, Bram.
Sorry, diagnostics, sorry.
That's okay. I take part of global CRM team working as global CRM manager.
Perfect. Thank you. By the way, Anna's camera is not working today, so that's why you can't see her in this webinar.
So sorry for that.
No worries. All right. Could you describe the data quality challenges your organization faced and how Plauti's solutions address those specific challenges?
Okay, more than data quality challenges, I would say it's the way our data is structured. We use Salesforce as our CRM system to manage all interactions between the company B2B and B2C customers. These interactions imply the creation of records inside the system to properly identify each of the customers in a unique manner and be able to give them the right level of service. The thing is that the intensive usage of the system may lead to the creation of several records for the same person, leading to duplication of data, split records history, and as a consequence, a poor customer experience when interacting with us. So we decided to implement Plauti Data Management, which is a dedicated solution aimed at preventing the creation of duplicates and cleaning our database from existing ones. This in order to maintain a clean database and a best-of-class relationship with our customers. And we chose this solution because we foresaw the many customizations that would be required and no other vendor could meet.
All right. Thanks for the answer, Anna. And what were the specific customizations that Plauti implemented for your organization, and why were they necessary?
Well, we have fields that help us to identify whether a record has been created manually or via digital, or to see if it exists in other systems apart from CRM. So we must consider this when choosing the values that we want to keep in the winner record after doing the merge. Basically, we might be facing three situations. Manual versus manual, it means when both records have been created manually, the winner is the most recently modified one. And we should keep the most recent contact information like the email, phone, address, and consent. And that not necessarily means the most recent information is in the winner. So we must consider also their own timestamps. Digital versus manual, it's when one record is created manually and the other is via digital. The winner is the digital one, and basically we're keeping its information. We might take some data coming from the manual record, the loser, if the respective field is blank in the winner. And finally, digital versus digital. When both records have been created via digital, we should keep both to avoid disruptions in the customer's experience. For example, if we delete one of those records, the customer won't be able to place an order from our eShop, or the person cannot log into our website. So since this is really crucial, we decided to add a warning message that appears after clicking on the merge button, saying something like it's not possible to merge digital versus digital, and the merge is totally blocked.
Perfect. Clear explanation. Thank you. Could you share a little bit about your tangible outcomes or improvements that you have seen thanks to these customizations?
Yeah, definitely. We had tangible benefits like improved data accuracy. Our data is more accurate and trustworthy. We also increased efficiency. We are saving time, especially our agents. They are saving time and effort when working with our customers' data by having less data to examine. We're having better customer experience, of course, since when our customer data is accurate, this leads to better experiences by avoiding sending duplicate communications or using conflicting information, especially with the consent. And last but not least, we are having better decision making because when your data is accurate and reliable, you can make better decisions based on real insights.
Sounds like some very good tangible outcomes indeed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. How have Plauti's customization capabilities help you support the growth of your operations or adapt to evolving requirements?
Well, here I would say that there are some added values. like, for example, improved customer experience. When we delete duplicates, we can ensure our data is accurate and reliable. And this means we will contact our customers when necessary and with the correct information. And equally better customers insights. By removing that unnecessary data, we can gain a more complete and accurate view of our customers, which can be used to create more personalized and targeted campaigns that are more business value. And it's important to understand that by having accurate and reliable customer data, this is essential for understanding their behavior and real preferences. And last but not least, of course, more compliance, because without duplicate records, it helps ensure our data is more accurate and reliable and thus more compliant.
Right. Thank you very much for that answer. So which customization features or tools have had the most impact on your operations?
I would say it was the ability of adding an extra layer of data comparison to evaluate which info needs to be kept. So for example, we have the winner and we have the loser. And as I said before, the winner, that doesn't mean that it has the more recent information for the contact and for the consent. So we have to insert also this to say, okay, this is the master, but between the two, who has the most recent information? And, the possibility of doing that was like simply great.
Perfect. Great to hear. What advice would you give to other organizations that are considering Plauti's customization capabilities and offerings to solve their data quality challenges?
I would say to have a deep understanding of how the data has been built, how it's structured. So in this way, and only in this way, it's possible to create and maintain a robust data quality process that knows this. And therefore, is the best way to identify and remove duplicates without compromising data integrity, thanks to the inclusion of validation, proper standardization, and intelligent comparison rules.
All right, thank you. It's indeed what I always say, the possibilities are endless, but you need to know what you want to do, right?
Yeah,
and then
indeed.
it is possible.
Definitely.
All right, thank you. Are there any plans for future customizations, Anna?
Oh, no, not customizations on the horizon.
No.
Thank God.
You never know, right? Business
Yeah,
requirements
that
change
is
by the
true,
day,
though.
so yeah. All right, all right. And if you were to summarize the value that Plauti's ability to customize the solution has brought to your organization, what would you highlight in this case?
As a summary of the values, I would say that we are ensuring data integrity by identifying duplicate records coming from different sources. We are also making our data consistent by standardizing the format and making corrections if needed. The possibility of merging duplicate records into a single one without errors nor data inconsistencies. But above all, it's definitely data compliance, a topic that is in everyone's heart here in Roche.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Anna. This was the end of the interview. I'd like to thank you a lot for taking the time to join and answer these questions. I hope
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course, no problem at all. I hope these answers helped our other customers and also prospects um, with their decision making. Thank you. Now over to Ruben again to do a deep dive into the merge rules. or sorry, merge plugin?
Yeah, thank you, Bram, and also thank you, Anna, for some great insights that we got. It's highly appreciated. So yeah, what we're going to do now, and I'll try to do it a little bit quicker because we all are already down into this for 45 minutes. After this, we want to do a Q&A. So if you have any questions for me, for Bram, or for Anna, then feel free to use the Q&A panel in the Teams application. And we will try to answer most of the questions. So don't hesitate and do that. So let's talk about merge plugins. And using the merge plugins, we can hook into the merge pipeline, and we can customize, we can inject specific logic. So basically it allows us to tailor the entire merge process to any business requirements. And I'm going to show you how that more or less works based on the requirements of this fictional company, Acme Incorporated. And they have a few extensive merge requirements. And the first one is selecting the master record in the merge should select the account with the highest number of opportunities. And if that is tight, select the one with the most contacts. If that is still tight, select the one with the highest annual revenue. Second requirement, they want to take the account name from the record where the most recent Zoom info less update field value is detected because they get valid standardized information from their Zoom info integration. Third, and this is also a question which I already saw in the Q&A panel, abort a merge based on specific conditions. And in this case, they would like to abort an account merge if the duplicate group has duplicates that are assigned to more than one sales territory. And if the merge succeeds, they want to trigger a call out to an external ERP system to also update that system for synchronization purposes. And at last, if a merge fails, they want their Salesforce admin to be notified with the exception message so they can monitor failed merges and can resolve them on the spot. Now, if we look at these requirements and if we look at our out-of-the-box capabilities, then everyone that is using Plauti Deduplicate at one point was at the merge rule page, which is our out-of-the-box user interface, where you can create your rules based on many different options that we have. We have pretty in-depth rules for setting merge rules, and most of the use cases that we come across, we can manage out of the box. But if the requirements get more extensive, then we are going to refer you to our plugin framework, and then we can decide and write all this logic right from Apex code. So for the requirements that Acme has, the out-of-the-box functionality is not enough. So if you remember the merge plugin, which we briefly talked about before, I talked about having 5 hooks, and we can implement and inject our own Apex code to execute that logic instead of the out-of-the-box logic. And using our plugins, we can decide the master records. We can decide what fields are kept in the master record after a merge, or which fields are selected from any of the records in the duplicate group. We have a before merge hook, which we can execute Apex right before the merge is executed. We'll have an after merge plugin, which we can do that thing, but then after the merge is executed successfully. And if it's not successful, then we have a merge failed plugin. And if we look at the requirements from Acme again, we can resolve all of these, but we'll just have to find the right building blocks to know when to execute what. So there is a certain order of executions in the plugins that we have and in which we fire them. And it starts, of course, with a merge being initiated. And the plugins fire across the entire organization, irrespective of how the merge is initiated. A user can initiate a merge, for example, via Plauti Deduplicate Live or when they review job results. But we also have a ton of automation processes which can be activated, which also follow the merge rules and also follow the plugin logic that you might write. So that's good to know. Looking at the first requirements, the master record should select the account with the highest number of opportunities. If tied, most contacts. If still tied, highest annual revenue. So this cannot be met out of the box. It's kind of a decision tree, but with Apex, this is relatively simple to write in code, which we can then execute in the set master plugin. After we set the master, we call the set field plugin. And in the set field plugin, we can execute the logic to take the account name from the record with the most recent Zoom info less updated value that we can find in any of the records. After invoking the set field plugin, we invoke the before merge plugin. And this is the place where you can do something before the actual merge is executed. For example, this also is related to one of the questions I saw on the Q&A panel. This is the moment to write your logic, to write exceptions, to stop the merge from happening if a record or multiple records in the group match the criteria that you set. You can then throw a nice exception and the user will get a nice error message in their interface saying that they cannot merge this record because of reason X or Y. Also in the before merge plugin, I briefly mentioned it before, we can set a flag, no process, and that will cancel the merge and allows you to do an alternative action. And one of the use cases that we see a lot is that people in the merge, they don't want to delete the loser record and only keep the master record, but they want to keep all records, but then relate them in a parent-child hierarchy where the children are duplicates and the parent is the main golden records, which is also seen sometimes in the classic MDM approach. So by writing the before merge plugin in such a way, you can adhere to such logic. By the way, for all these examples in our SDK, we have examples with example code, how you could implement it. So if you're interested in that, then definitely check it out, sdk.plauti.com. So after invoking 3 plugins, we are actually going to execute the merge. And there are 2 outcomes here. Is the merge successful, yes or no? If the merge is successful, we invoke the after merge plugin. If the merge is not successful, we invoke the merge failed plugin. And these are the 2 hooks where we can make sure the last 2 requirements from ACME are met, which is trigger an asynchronous callout to update the external ERP system. We can then send over the loser IDs and the master IDs, for example, so that we have a synchronization between an external system and the Salesforce database. And if the merge fails, we can simply send an email via Apex to the Salesforce administrator with the exception message, if that is something that is interested. So in total, we're looking at this flow where we can decide which Lego blocks we want to invoke. Of course, when we don't write any logic in any of these plugins, nothing will fire. So it's up to you to pick what you need and to insert logic to really tailor the merge pipeline and the merge logic to your specific business requirements. And yeah, it's pretty cool because we are one of the only players in the market with a framework like this, which really allows you to adapt the merge process to specific requirements. That also concludes the mini deep dive. So let's get back to Bram to see if we have any questions left.
All right, we've got a few questions indeed. So we've got 2 questions in the Q&A here. One person is asking, we are using the nonprofit success pack. Would likely want to not compare records that have a relationship record with a type of child linking them. Would that be a use case for after index search?
Yeah, that is a good question, and I think indeed the after index search plugin is designed for these kind of use cases. So the after index search is invoked after we do the index search, which returns potential candidates, which go to the scoring. So where we do the actual calculation to see what the score is between the source records and the matched records to calculate a matching score. But before going to the scoring, we can exclude records that are returned in the index process based on criteria that you set. So, for example, you could query which of the candidates that we returned meet the conditions that you have for excluding them for scoring, and therefore for being returned as a potential duplicate record to a user or to the job or wherever, which allows you to always get rid of certain duplicates based on the specific requirements that you have. So indeed, Michael, that will be the place to execute that behavior. So you paid attention really well. So that's kudos for you.
All right, thank you, Ruben. And then another question from Michael. Currently working with support on an issue where merges are blocked if a deleted contact has an external ID. It's a unique field in Salesforce, so an error is generated when a merge is attempted. Which tool will be used if a solution is to update the master record before the merge is performed?
Yeah, so I mentioned it in the deep dive already. So in the before merge plugin, we can write the logic to abort a merge if one of the candidates for merging meets a certain criteria. And in this case, that external ID field, which should have a value. So if you query those contacts and query that field, you can simply abort the merge, throw a nice exception, and the merge will not be able to continue there.
Exactly, and that the plugin is available in our Plauti deduplicated solution if you have a premium package or higher. All right, I've got 1 or 2 more questions here. Someone is asking, as we don't have the resource ourselves, would Plauti be able to help with the development of these customizations via the SDK for us? I think I'll answer this question. We do indeed. So we've got a few packages. So we've got our separate solutions, but we also got our Plauti data management suite, where part of that suite is a service bundle where we do the development for you. So if you don't have the resource yourself, you don't have any dedicated developers, we can also do these customizations for you, like we did with Roche, for example. And then another question is, can I control which fields the REST API uses to check for duplicates depending on where the data comes from?
Yeah, that will be a question for me, maybe. Yeah, that is definitely possible. So when you're doing the request via our REST API, you define the fields that you send over for checking if there is a duplicate in the Salesforce environment yourself. So you can do that by defining those fields in code. Of course, you can set different fields for different methods that the data is coming in. Not only that, we can also reference a certain scenario ID that you want to use for doing comparison itself, which references a Plauti deduplicate scenario. And the scenario is the interface in which you decide how to compare the record, but also decides what a potential duplicate record is with a threshold and with the matching methods that come with that. So with the REST API capabilities, you have full control in this.
All right. Thank you, Ruben. In the meantime, 2 more questions came in. Are plugins included in the standard license? Yes, they are included if you have Plauti Deduplicate premium license and up. And for Plauti Verify and Plauti Assign, they are included in the standard license. Yeah. Is it possible to compare search, merge Salesforce data against data in an external system? Ruben.
Yeah, so our focus is, of course, the Salesforce environment. So when you use our REST API, for example, we can look into Salesforce and to compare records from external source with the record in Salesforce. We don't have connectors from Salesforce to other environments, so that's something you would have to build yourself. So you cannot use our matching engine, our duplicate engine, for verifying duplicates in an external system. That's not within the scope of the SDK.
All right. Thank you, Ruben. There are more questions coming in. Perfect. Will we have multiple logic selections for selecting master records, or are more options versions for the value-based rule? There feels more potential in them.
Yeah, what I think people is referencing to is the merge rules themselves in Salesforce. So in Salesforce, we can indeed set a value-based rule in which we can look at a certain field. And if the value that you set in the merge rule is found, then that will be the decider for what the master record is. Multiple logic selections might refer to maybe the decision tree, the logic which we talked about in the plugin, but that wouldn't really be possible out of the box. So that's why we have the SDK. However, we can do a lot of smart things with formula fields in Salesforce. So that's also a thing to consider, because in a value-based master record rule, we can reference a formula field. And with a formula field, we can, of course, set dynamic values. So if you are a little bit smart, then you can do a lot of things with designing the master record combination with that formula field to do more than what we are capable of with the standard rules that we have in the select list. So definitely check that out.
Thank you, Ruben. And another question came in. What about bulk merge? Merging roughly 500 accounts at a time is something we deal with from time to time. How can plugins help in this scenario in showing the accounts, post-merge reports, backups, etc.?
Not sure if I totally understand the question, but of course, in the Plauti Deduplicate on-platform tool, we have capabilities for searching duplicates, for automatically merging them. Tied to all those processes are an audit log in which we store all the merges that are done, which you can use for reporting purposes, for example. So if we talk about the plugins, we can alter behavior with the plugins, for example, merge behaviors. So one thing you could potentially do is do something with a backup in that process. Also good to know that we store information of the loser records in the audit log as well, which you can retrieve it from. So I don't think there's necessarily an SDK angle here, which is helpful, because all of this is already possible with the out-of-the-box tools and the information that we store in Salesforce objects. I hope that helps. If you have follow-up questions, feel free to send us an email at support, and we can dive into your specific use case.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Ruben. Those were the questions for now. Would like to thank you all for joining this webinar. Thanks for engaging with us, asking all those questions. If you still have any questions, please reach out to us via our channels, and we will also be happy to help you there with any questions that you have.